Hi, Joe Alton, MD here, also known as Dr. Bones of the survival medicine website doomandbloom.net, where you'll find over 1,000 articles, podcasts, and videos on medical preparedness. Before I start, I'd like to mention The Unraveling, the new book by our good friend and author Charlie Hogwood, who has graciously chosen yours truly and Nurse Amy as the template for his medical characters in this book. Be sure to check it out. Sometimes, like every day, I come across folks that think that modern medicine will always be there to deal with emergencies in austere settings. An austere setting is one where modern help is unavailable due to any situation where you are off the grid. Most people believe that some magical system exists that instantly calls for help and sends the ambulances ASP heading in your direction. This just, unfortunately, isn't true. All you have to do is read stories of people freezing to death while trying to get help for a family member or stranded in their car, stories of people who have to hike for hours just to get a call through to emergency services while leaving their injured family member in the woods. And this is the US of A, not Antarctica. Sure, there are medical strategies for short-term scenarios. You'll see them in some very good first aid books. An entire medical education system exists to help, and it's served by an entire industry of supplies and equipment. You expect the rescue helicopter to be on the way, and in normal times, you're usually right. In a long-term event, well, not so much. Let's consider your goals when an emergency occurs. The primary objectives of modern emergency care are to evaluate any injured or ill individuals, stabilize them, transport them to the nearest modern medical facility. This series of steps makes perfect sense, doesn't it? After all, you're not a doctor. Somewhere there are facilities that have a lot more technology than you have in your backpack. Your priority is to get patients out of immediate danger and then ship them off to others with the skills and equipment to treat them. Transporting the injured person may be a difficult thing to do, sometimes very difficult, but you have the luxury of being able to pass the buck to people who might have more knowledge, more technology, and supplies. Sound reasonable? Of course it does. One day, however, there may come a time when, say, a pandemic or terrorist attack may cause a situation where the miracle of modern medicine may be overwhelmed or just plain not available. A circumstance so extreme that the access to modern facilities no longer exists at all. If the you-know-what hits the fan, you'll have more risk for illness and injury than on a hike in the woods, yet have little hope of obtaining more medical care than you yourself can provide. It's not a matter of a few days without modern technology, such as maybe after a hurricane. Help is just not coming, period. Therefore, where the buck stops for the foreseeable future is you. Now, who's prepared to deal with this harsh reality? Are you? Well, you know what? There are many natural and man-made disasters that occur all the time. And the likelihood of your exposure to one, well, at some point in your life, may not be as small as you think. Therefore, it might be a good idea to obtain some medical knowledge and supplies. In long-term survival, you can increase the chances of keeping your people healthy. With medical education, supplies, and training, you'll be able to handle most emergencies you'll confront in times of trouble. Your supplies and skills, however, have to have an unusual mindset, that things have changed for the long term, and that you might be the highest medical asset your family has. You might be the end of the line. I'll admit this is an enormous responsibility. I mean, how many of us can bear the burden of being in charge of the health of others? I believe some of us will find the fortitude. You won't be medical professors. You'll be fathers and mothers, sisters and brothers, sons and daughters who understand that somebody's got to pick up the flag and take on the role of medic. If you're one of these people, I encourage you now to put together a plan of action of how you're going to get the training, supplies, and education to become an asset in situations where modern medicine is overwhelmed or just plain old non-existent. You should learn about how to prevent infectious disease from running rampant among your people if you're off the grid. This involves preventing food and water contamination and ensuring good sanitation and hygiene. You should learn about what plants in your environment might have medicinal value. In long-term events, you're going to run out of whatever commercial medicines you have. Could there be additional tools in the medical woodshed somewhere growing in your own backyard? You should also learn how to provide wound care long-term for traumatic injuries. Remember, you have nowhere to send someone with, say, a broken leg. You're the medical guy from start to finish. Therefore, you should have a medical kit that fits your needs, and I think you should offer your services and supplies to those in the community who need them. Eventually, your willingness to help and use supplies as a healer will make you so valuable that others will expend resources to protect you. You'll have to be inventive as your supplies are expended. Think about using found objects like sheets for bandages, pillows for padding and splints, duct tape, and much more. A couple of jackets and 2 poles can make a perfectly serviceable stretcher. Hopefully, society will never be poised on the brink of collapse. None of us wants that. The future is a mystery, however. Could your family someday be involved in some major disaster? I can't answer that, so I'll keep writing about medical issues as if that disaster has already happened. Of course, if there is a functioning medical system, seek modern and standard medical care whenever and wherever it is available. What's the matter with you? But if there isn't, remember the words of President Theodore Roosevelt. Do what you can with what you have where you are. This is Joe Alton, MD, that old Dr. Bones, wishing you the best of health in good times or bad. Thanks for watching. Begin your journey to medical preparedness with the Survival Medicine Handbook, the essential guide for when medical help is not on the way. Now in its 700-page 3rd edition. Plus our new book, Alton's Antibiotics and Infectious Disease, the Layman's Guide to Available Antibacterials in Austere Settings. And last but not least, by checking out Nurse Amy's medical kits and individual supplies at store.doomandbloom.net. That's store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.